YouTube, it's Monica, and today I am making a video about keeping your spirits up with homeschooling and keeping the right perspective. So what inspired this video today is I saw a post of a friend on Facebook, and she's frustrated. She's saying sometimes she just wants to put that kid back in public school and he's not memorizing things how she wants him to, and she's just frustrated. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. So just on a real basic level, if you put your kid back in public school, isn't your teacher going to have the same problems? Isn't your kid still going to have a hard time memorizing things? Aren't they still going to not focus that well if they're having problems with that? So who loves your kid more, you or the teacher? Right? You might think you have more patience, but what is that? Or your teacher has more patience. But what does that mean? I think a parent who has the patience to really work and figure it out and make sure that there is success, that is true patience. Patience of a teacher might be like, I'm just not going to let the kid get to me. Okay, but what do I want for the kid? I want the kid to succeed, right? So you put that kid back in public school and or any kind of school, it's really not in their best interest. You know that, you're just frustrated, but just keep that in mind. But what I really want to talk about today, that I think a lot of people haven't really thought about, is the fact that in school, you can pretty much divide everything that you do into like two categories, okay? There is skill acquisition and there is knowledge acquisition. Okay, let me explain what I mean. So skills would be like reading, writing, math, spelling, typing would be a skill, which I would argue is extremely important. Those are skills. Knowledge base, then you have knowledge acquisition. So, and I would separate that into two categories. I would say absolutely essential. You're an idiot if you don't learn these things, or at least people will consider you an idiot. And then there's like really nice, awesome, but optional. So that's, you're gonna learn skills, and then you're going to acquire knowledge, and then the knowledge is separated into two categories, essential and optional, right? So what I want to suggest is that you sit down, if you have to call a babysitter to do this, because maybe you're single, I don't know. You sit down, go away from home where it's quiet and peaceful, and you think, what to you is essential? What to you is optional? Let me tell you what to me is would be examples of essential knowledge. Like learning what a verb, what a noun is, what an adjective is, a pronoun, basic grammar definitions kind of. That would be essential to me. Okay, what else would be essential? Basic biology, knowing basic human anatomy, like the organ systems of the body. Is it essential that my 7-year-old know it? No. I mean, I'm sure a lot of schools teach that, and I think it's cool and great, but is it essential that they know it when they're 7? No. So even among the essential things, you got to think, is it essential that they know it at this age? Well, what about this age? What about that age, right? So you have to think about that. And a lot of these essential knowledge sets are not that big. It's actually a pretty small amount of information that's essential, okay? And I'm not saying just throw out the optional stuff, like it's not worth, attempting to cram into your kid's brain. I say go for it, fight the good fight, get that in your kid's brain if you can do it. But inside yourself, to them, present it like, oh, this is really important, you gotta know this. But, at least in your own brain, just acknowledge that the world will not end if they can't memorize the periodic table, right? Like the world's not gonna end. If they don't know every dinosaur, it's okay, right? It's not, the world's not gonna end. For me personally, the world might end if they don't know what a verb is. I think that that's atrocious. So you have to decide what to you is worth flipping out over and what's not. And also think about the age. There's a difference between a 6-year-old not knowing what a verb is and a 16-year-old not knowing what a verb is. A big difference. So just think about it. Take some time. away from home when you're not completely exhausted, and think about these things. Make a little plan, reevaluate it every 6 months. Make an action plan, or maybe just sort of like a mission statement. What's important? What do I value? What are my priorities? In our home, reading is a priority. We go to the library every week, and I kid you not, we get a stack of books like that every single week, and we read them. We discuss at least a couple. We discuss them. In the beginning, you're going to be bad at it if you've never done it. That's okay. You're going to keep trying because you care and you love your kid, and you're going to keep trying, and then you'll get good at leading these discussions. And because thinking is a skill set too. I didn't mention that before. You have to do it regularly. You have to think. You have to be in the practice of thinking. And you're going to lead your kids through that, and you'll get good at leading them, and then they're going to get good at thinking. So reading's big for us. Writing is big. It's a priority. If my kid spends 2 hours of his day writing, I'm okay blowing off other things because I think it's that important. I'll come to those other things in good time, but you think of your what's important. Some people will call it big rocks, right? You have your big rocks and your little rocks. The example is like you have a jar, and if you put all of your little rocks, it'd be like the gravel in, right? Like all those little things that you could possibly, not do in your day, like maybe wiping the counter, or I don't know, picking something up at the store that's not essential. And then you try to fit in your big rocks. Well, they don't fit in the jar. But if you put your big rocks in first, and then you sprinkle in the little pebbles, and you shake it up, you'll get most of those pebbles in, but you'll get all your big rocks in. And the big rocks are your priorities. What are your priorities? For us, reading, priority. Writing, priority. Having discussions that encourage kids to think rationally and critically, a priority. Going to the library every week, priority. You need to think of what your priorities are. And once you have a clear idea of what your priorities are, and you understand that you are the best person to do this better than any teacher. Teachers are great and they're essential in our society because not everyone can homeschool, but you can. That's why you're homeschooling, right? You can. You financially can swing it. That's why you're doing it. And you are the best person to do this for your kid. And once you accept that and you acknowledge that as fact, because it is fact, and then you have a clear idea of where your priorities are, then you're going to feel good. You're going to say, you know what? I let him spend 2 hours writing a story because he was excited about it, and writing is a priority. It's extremely important to me. I've decided it. I've reevaluated it a couple times over the last couple years, and it's still true. And it's true today, and it was true last year, and it's going to be true next year most likely. So I feel good about the fact that, we blew off his history for today, or his science for today. Tomorrow we can get to the history and the science, but I'm okay with it because that writing is a priority, whatever your priorities are, right? So just think about that. And don't get wrapped up in, hey, we have this curriculum and we have to complete everything, right? You think about what's important. And also, one more thing. Your kid is an individual. So the school system has trained us to think that it's like an assembly line, right? At first grade, you know this. At second grade, you know that. At third grade, you have to know that, this other thing. But that's not realistic. Number one, because kids learn differently and they have different things that they're good and bad at. And also, different kids are interested in different things at different times. And if you're being real, you're going to acknowledge that you're not going to remember things if you're not interested. My college education, I was interested in psychology, and I probably remembered 30 to 40% of what I was taught, and I was interested. If you're not interested, you're going to remember next to nothing. So if your kid is not interested at the time, they're not going to remember it. Doesn't mean they won't be interested next year. So just keep in mind that your kids are individuals and they learn in their own way, and you're the best person to teach them, and that's that. That's it. So with that, I'm going to show you a little bit of cooking with kids because it's fun and it has a lot of value. I think you'll see from the clip. You, Missy, in your apron, helping in the kitchen. We need to adjust this.
Huh?
There we go. Mashing bananas. Good job.
Oh.
Yeah, you need some salt.
Or soda.
Do you know how much we usually add in muffins?
Half teaspoon? Half teaspoon?
No.
Half teaspoon?
Half a teaspoon. Ding, 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 ding. Good job. Which is that?
A half teaspoon.
Is that how much we add? No.
Teaspoon.
1 teaspoon. Ding, 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 ding. So find the 1 teaspoon. Show it to me. There we go. Okay, I was going to let, you going to work together? Okay.
That good?
That's good. That's good. Okay, don't mix it up. Yeah, we're going to add all of our wet ingredients first.
Mama.
Yeah.
I almost caught it.
Good. We forgot we had to add cinnamon. Okay, and what are you doing now, Marlo?
Getting a couple big scoops of coconut oil.
That's right. It really is coconut oil is actually really good for you guys. It's much better than other oils, and it's extremely tasty in the muffins, I've noticed. No, it's called almond milk.
This is vegan AAA milk.
Vegan AAA. This is almond milk. I actually make it. It's actually not hard. If you have a high-speed blender, you just make it and then strain it with a nut milk bag. Be gentle, buddy, okay?
Oh no.
So guys, do you know about how much we need to fill it up?
Halfway.
Halfway is a good starting point, right? And then if you need to, you can kind of add a little more here and there. Is that good, Marlo? Today, my son was working on, doing time stuff, telling time, and, every kid is different, and sometimes if something is sort of too boring or abstract, it can kind of be difficult for him, and in a way, this is a lot more difficult for most kids, but for him, I feel like it's really helping him just completely understand things a lot more quickly. Because he has to engage. He has to really think about it. And I'm trying, to more and more give them things to do that make them engage and make them really think about what they're doing. So the little one here again, let me take this one out from in here, sweetie pie. She had to write the next number in the pattern, so this is counting by ones. So she did it, she did the whole worksheet, and then we went through and said, okay, what are we counting by? Counting by ones. What are we counting by? Counting by twos. So it made her engage and think, and this is part of the Right Start Math she is doing. This is level B. That's where she's at. The most important thing is just figuring out where your kid is at and then just trying to challenge them without overwhelming, And this is where she's at, and it's a good place for her. And as you go through these things, you're going to find where they don't understand things, and then you're going to stop and then move back and say, okay, how do I help them to understand these things? And it's funny because we've had a few days off for Thanksgiving, and she's just plowing through this like just no problem now, whereas before it seemed to confuse a little bit, and I think that few days break really was helpful. But last week or week and a half ago, we would really have to use a lot of manipulatives so she could see what she was doing, and now she seems to understand pretty well. There you have it, just a little tidbit for today. Oh, one more thing too. So we have this little fun clock. Whenever you can, don't shy away from using manipulatives. So if a kid has a hard time understanding something, this is abstract, like these things are abstract, this is abstract, this is less abstract obviously, but this is much better because if your kid is really having a hard time understanding, you're going to say, well, it's 5 o'clock, what time is it going to be in 2 hours? They need to understand that this hand goes all the way around in 1 hour. Or if you started at 6:10, they need to understand that it goes all the way around. It has to do a complete circle and end right there, and that's 1 hour. And when they see it and they do it themselves, they're going to understand better. So don't shy away from that. Don't feel like it's like a crutch. It's actually really important for them to see these things, and then after a while, they just won't need it anymore. That's it for today. I hope you liked what you saw. If you liked it, please click the thumbs up and please share your comments below. Have a great day.